In Scott Frost, we trust. Maybe?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us on, turn us up. We'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, James Duncan, co-show host and Locked On UCF sports commentator extraordinaire. Talking a little UCF football on today's show. We're going to talk about our trust level for Scott Frost going into year two and where that needs to be for us to keep our trust in him. But we're also going to break down that secondary and how good we think they'll be, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your likes and subscribes help keep us the #1 source of UCF football content on YouTube or anywhere. Start at the top. James, how good is this secondary going to be? Jayden Williams, Breaden Marshall. I mean, I feel good about the guys that we got back there protecting the back end of that defense. But before we started recording, you noted that some guys are going to be able to take advantage of 5 for 5. There's some chance for continuity of talent there in the secondary. Is this the best unit maybe on the defense?
Yes. I'm going to come right out.
Defense, yeah.
I'm going to say yes. And you know, I spoke with Braeden. I spoke with Jayden Williams. These guys are speaking very highly of each other, and I think the expectation is to do that. But I also asked the wide receivers. I said, you know, who's the toughest guy to get by? And they said, well, this person or this person. But in reality, all of them. And that is something I love to hear because iron sharpens iron. And the defensive backs had the same thing to say about the wide receivers. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, it's funny. I talked to B. Marsh and I was like, hey, man, who's the toughest guy to guard? And he was like, oh, you know, probably Dwayne Thomas. And I went over and told Dwayne Thomas. And I was like, don't let it get to your head. You know, don't let it get to your head. But he goes, yeah, B. Marsh tough to get by. But, you know, this has to be the best unit on the team. And, you know, it's funny, you know, talking to B. Marsh, I'm looking at it now. He's been playing since he was a freshman. If, you know, with the old redshirt rules, he wouldn't have had another year. With 5 for 5, he started in 2023. He's going to get another year. Same thing with Antoine Jackson. Started in 2023 at ECU as a freshman. He's going to get another year. So in terms of what we're looking at, you know, the boundary corners, I'm assuming is probably going to be Jaden Bellamy and Antoine Jackson. Jaden's in his final year, I do believe. You know, the transfer from Syracuse, he comes over last year. He's one of the top graded corners in the entire Big 12. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dude was unreal.
I do want to note, UCF had the third best pass defense in the Big 12 last year, allowing only 185 yards per game through the air. James, only 2 teams better in conference at pass defense were Utah at 177 yards per game. They were 8 yards better. And Arizona, wildly, no pun intended, only allowed 165 passing yards per game last year.
That's insane.
That's
Mike,
nuts.
Going back to what we talked about in our earlier episode today, this defense was out on the field more than 49 other teams in the country.
Yeah. UCF, in terms of like, again, we're talking about passing here. They allowed 13 touchdowns through the air. That was the 4th best mark in the conference. Only teams better were Utah, Arizona, and Texas Tech. So I expect great things out of this secondary this coming season. Now, if they can get after the quarterback, I think a defensive back's best friend is an edge rusher who's getting after the quarterback and making him run all kinds of ways for his life, because it's a lot easier to defend those passes when the quarterback's on the run for his life here. But only 13 touchdowns allowed through the air. They picked off 9 interceptions last year. That was not a real impressive mark when you look at what other teams did in the conference. Arizona turned in 22 interceptions. As a matter of fact, there were 9 teams in the conference with double-digit interceptions. UCF was not one of them. They were in the bottom half in terms of interceptions. So we want to see some more there, I think, in terms of turnovers. BYU had 17 interceptions, as did Texas Tech. Utah had 15 interceptions. TCU had 14. Kansas State had 13. Houston had 12. Iowa State and West Virginia had 11. And then you had Baylor and UCF with only 9 interceptions. So there's some improvement to do there in terms of going and getting the football from the other team. But again, you didn't get a lot of yards, and maybe there were less interceptions there because there were just well-defended passes.
Yeah, I think so. I think that can be the case. But someone like B Marsh has gotten a pick every single year. He said he's going to be looking for more. I know he is going to be looking for more. In terms of who we see on the boundaries, I think it's Jayden Bellamy and Antoine Jackson, who I also think will be a punt returner. In terms of who you're going to see interior, I think you could see a mix of Jayden Williams and DJ Bell. At the nickel spot, you're going to have B Marsh. He's been there for years, and he's been unreal in that spot. Safety is a little bit of a toss-up. I think you're getting Damari back, and Damari's played really well for you over the past couple of years. So I think he's kind of the guy that's automatically slotted in. Last year, you had Phillip Dunham on the other side. He was technically eligible to come back, but UCF in the offseason went out and got like 5 safeties.
Yeah.
So it didn't
3
make a lot of
interceptions
sense.
in one game last year, right? Like, so that was a third of all the interceptions.
Yeah. A third of all your interceptions. That's a lot of production. God, I wish they would have brought him back, but I wish you would have known sooner too, so you didn't have to go out and get all those guys in the portal. But one of the guys that they went out and got in the portal has been very impressive to me. And that is Ty Bartram from Harvard. Had a long tenure at Harvard, played there multiple years. He was a defensive captain. He has actually really shown in special teams as well to be a very good communicator. And he is very good at identifying what he's seeing, because when you're at safety, you're the farthest guy back. So you have to be telling all the people in front of you of what's happening around them, because they're so focused on their assignment that they're not going to be seeing everything that's around them. When you're not in zone, when you're in man, you're watching one dude. And Ty Bartram's going to be back there if he's in a sky zone, or if he's, covering the middle of the field, cover 2, cover 1, cover 3, anything like that. He's going to be behind everybody else. He needs to be able to see, analyze, and then communicate to everyone else on the team about what is in front of him. I think that Ty Bartram is going to be the guy that ends up stepping next to Damari at safety. Now, there are a couple guys on this team. Jayden Williams has played safety. I think he could be back there. I think another guy like Caleb Flagg from Missouri could be back there. Kamel Johnson. There are a couple different guys that they went out and got that can play those positions. Jayden Williams spoke to me. I asked him, who is one young guy that's really impressed? He said Elijah Keys has done very well in practice. The freshman from Duncan U. Fletcher, Jacksonville. That school's like 20 minutes from where I grew up. And then another guy they went out and got was Jalen Duffy from NDSU, when he had originally come over with their coach, who then signed, I believe, with the Ravens in the offseason. We had him for like 2 weeks, and then we went and got the guy we have now. So it's a very talented unit. It's also a very deep unit. I think that the secondary is not only the most talented unit on defense, but I think they're probably the most talented unit on the team, rivaling the wide receiver unit. I think those are head and head, which is perfect because iron sharpens iron. You want those,
I agree.
The two best.
I just need some more turnovers. and I'm good with this group. I think they are one of the best, if not the best units on the team. Alex Grinch's defense was one of the best defenses in the conference. We hope that will be a repeatable product here in 2026. Let's get to our break, and when we come back, I want to talk about Scott Frost. Last episode, we talked about expectations, but this is an important year for Scott Frost. We'll talk about why it's important right here next on Locked on UCF. James, do you have a sweet tooth?
It is the worst thing ever. It plagues me.
I have a sweet tooth. Support for today's show is brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. If you got a sweet tooth like we do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why cotton candy 5 Hour Energy shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but I can't eat sweets all day. So this is a perfect alternative to get some energy and satisfy that sweet tooth. Bring on the sweetness with cotton candy 5 Hour Energy shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Support for today's show also is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book and sports betting partner of the MLB. If you think you know who's hitting a home run today, James, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick with who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use to bet on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Last year, I put together a 9-leg baseball parlay that was a thing of beauty. It paid out over $4,800. And if I had daily dingers and I had a profit boost, it would have paid me out enough to go buy a small used car. It was I like that they're doing this, because if you like putting together parlays like me, this is a great way to kind of compound those winnings. And Daily Dingers is a fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get a chance to make your prediction before the first pitch. So if you're ready to play your game, join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your likes and subscribes help keep us the #1 source of UCF football content on YouTube or anywhere. Talking about Scott Frost's second year, I think year one was a lot of what most people expected. None of us had delusions of grandeur in year one. He was taking over a 4-win team that was losing RJ Harvey. So I don't know about you, but my expectations were set pretty reasonably. There was some hope maybe that, Taven Jackson as a backup quarterback transferring from Indiana was going to be able to contribute. It just didn't go down that way. Cam Fancher was a roll of the dice. You just kind of take what you can get in year one. In year two, you get what you earn in recruiting. In that first full offseason, you get what you earn. What they earned was Alonzo Barnett from JMU. They earned Caleb Bennett. They earned Rocco Marriott in high school recruiting. They earned Josh Derry, right? They earned Tyron Horns. They earned some really, really good players. And what else he earned was he earned the return of Dwayne Thomas Jr., the return of Dylan Wade. You have got some absolute ballers on this team. Right now, I think I trust the process. I think it's safe to say I trust the process. But what has to happen for you to continue to trust the process this year? It's more than just about record to me. Does the pass game look like it's moving forward? Does Alex Grinch's defense look like they're continuing to evolve, right? Does recruiting follow? Are kids buying the pitch? Are you able to work your way up into even the top 30 in recruiting? Because I'm all for diamonds in the rough, man. You can't live that way long-term if you want to be a championship contender year in and year out. You got to go get the dogs everybody else is getting. You got to go compete for the 4- and 5-star and the top 100 kids everybody else is competing for. You are in Orlando. We got to get this business community behind the Knights. They need to step up. And while UCF has filled the rev share pot, like I know, you need money beyond that to compete with the Texas Techs, because they got a billionaire sitting there ready to cut a check for any player that what's his face wants.
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to start with winning, man. People want to donate to a winning program. I think he's got to go get 8 this year for me. I think he's got to go get 8.
That's your minimum.
If you want me to completely trust the process with no questions, make Alonzo Barnett a star. Go get 8. That's it. I'll give him some room if players get hurt or things happen that are out of their control. And I will also give him some room if the refs just flat out screw him in some games. I've seen it happen. I've seen them literally pick on teams where it's close and at the end you're never getting the call. If those sorts of bad luck things are happening to him, I don't know how much I'm going to hold that against him.
Yeah.
But it's got to look better, at least if those things are happening to you. I just don't see a world where it looks better and you're not winning more than 5 games. He's got it.
I agree.
Yeah. When we highlighted the games last year that we thought they could have gone and got if they had a better quarterback. You probably beat Cincinnati. You probably beat Kansas, and you probably beat Houston.
Yeah. Those things, I think I agree with you entirely. I think I'm going to give a little bit more leeway and say 7.
7,
but to me, that shows progression.
But are you going to trust that he's the dude if he turns in 7 and 5 with this schedule? That's the question. The question is, are you 100% sold on Scott Frost if he goes 7 and 5 next year?
Mike, I think we've talked about this. Big 12 football has always pumped out somebody that you don't expect to be good. I think we've talked about this schedule in the offseason and been like, yeah, man, this looks very favorable. But what if OSU ends up being insane? What if they really figure things out with, Eric Morrison, Drew Mestamaker? What if those guys figure it out? I think that truthfully, this schedule looks very favorable. I think there is a possibility it could end up not being that way. I mean, you think, Bethune-Cookman, easy. Pittsburgh, that's your first real challenge. So that's a toss-up to me. Georgia State, I think, is a win. TCU's, I think, is a win. Houston,
Josh Hoover now. They lost their 10,000-yard passer.
Yeah.
Against one of the best pass defenses in the league.
Like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity for toss-up. I think for progression purposes, you have to win more. I think 2 more than you had last year, because I think last year those toss-ups are where you had the lack of progression.
We didn't do boom battle or bust last year, but I just want to point out again, on last year's schedule, the road was brutal. You only played 4 road games, but you were at BYU, at Texas Tech, at Cincinnati, and at Kansas State. I mean, those were and you were at Baylor, so you have 5 road games. But I don't know. That was Baylor with Sawyer Robertson and Michael Trigg and those dudes, and they were ridiculous. I don't know if you could have had 5 harder road games in conference last year than UCF had, with both BYU and Texas Tech being on the road. This year, you ain't any of those teams on the road.
Yeah.
So I'm there was all this talk last year about how we were going to stop Brendan Sorsby from doing whatever he wanted. He didn't do crap.
He didn't.
We shut him down. They only scored 20 points. Unfortunately, we lowered the bar even lower on offense and only scored 11. This year, if we're done with all that, I think it's 8. I honestly think it's 8 when you match up what they had. I mean, because the schedule gets easier. Yes, there could be a surprise contender in the Big 12, but I expect that to be UCF this year. I expect us to be the team that's giving people problems that they did not expect. So, looking at this schedule, man, I don't know. I think that Oklahoma State will be better on offense, but they will not be better on defense. They're going to give up a ton of points. They're still going to be at the bottom of the league in terms of points surrendered. Then I don't know, James. I think if you go get me 8, I'm getting out the checkbook.
Okay, I get you. I get you. But wins are not the only thing that matter for me in terms of progression. And I want to give you guys like a solid number that I think is going to be important to look at. Last year, Frost brought in 3 consensus 4-star recruits. He brought in Tyron Horns, Rocco Marriott, Alassane Idrisu. He was the 66th national rank according to On3. The previous year, 69th, but he was coming in really late. That was that was tough. This year, he has 14 commits. He doesn't have a single 4-star on that list. Now, right now, he is 68th in the national ranking. Yeah. By the end of that season, by the end of this season, I need that national ranking to be below 60. I'd prefer it actually to be below 50.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said, man, our friends got to catch up.
Gus had you in the 30s. Scott needs to I understand rankings aren't always things that matter and stars don't mean everything. Sure, blah, 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 blah. But there's a reason that there's a 94 overall guy and an 82 overall guy. And the guy that might be an 82 might end up being an NFL Pro Bowler. That's fine. But I'm saying there is a reason that those guys get ranked that way. I need to see at least 2 4-stars in this class before the end of the season. Right now, he has 0. Now, a guy that I would be looking to make a little bit of a jump, like a guy like Cornelius Purdy, who is in Lake Wales. He's an 86.8. I think he could end up being a 4-star by the end of his high school season.
He will be. Purdy's been real loud on social media lately. Look, I'm sticking. I think it's 8. Because I think 8 is going to move the needle with the recruits as well, too, when they see that you're beating a lot of the teams that are also recruiting them right now. So if you can do it with this squad, the message is, wait till we have you. You think we're good now, wait till we have you. And look at the other guys that we're bringing in. High-profile players want to play with other high-profile players. That's how you got to build a roster these days. You got to get one guy, and then that guy has to go recruit his butt off for you until all his, high-profile buddies that he sees at these camps and, these circuits that they do where all the top players get invited, like, Under Armour hosts a bunch, Nike does some camps. It is, man. These guys all know each other. Best players in the country all know each other to some extent. And so this is going to be a fun time if they can go get 8. At 7, I'm not sure with this schedule that you have proof of concept, but there's a chance they could go beyond that. The ball bounces right. And if Alonzo Barnett has the season I think he could have, I'm not calling this. This is not one of my Prophet Mike moments, but I think that he has Heisman type talent, and I would not be surprised if his name is being mentioned as a New York finalist by the end of October if UCF is for some reason like 6-2 by the end of October. They're 6-2 going into November. You're going to hear his name being mentioned for a lot of awards, and rightfully so. We got to get out of here. James, I want to thank you for joining me on this second episode of Locked On UCF. Guys, hit the comment section after the video. Let us know, where does UCF have to be for you to be completely bought in this season? Is it 8-4? Is it 7-5? Is it 6-6? I hope not. We want to hear from you guys. Hit the comments. Let us know how you feel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On UCF.